Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschool-ology. My name is Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. I've got a 7th grader down to a preschooler, and on this channel I like to talk to you guys about secular homeschooling, motherhood, having a large family, family travel, and everything in between. Today's video is all about homeschooling multiple ages at the same time, and this video is a collaboration that I am hosting, and so I will be linking the playlist down below, and I hope you will go check out all the great moms sharing all the wonderful tips for homeschooling multiple kids of multiple ages at the same time. So as I mentioned in the intro, I have 4 kiddos. I have a 7th grader, I have a 3rd grader, and then I have he's 5, but he's not quite doing kindergarten yet, so he's pre-K, kinder level, and then I have a preschooler who's 3 and super eager to learn. Normally I don't recommend starting that young, but she just is so into it and so excited for doing school that we are doing school with her as well this year. So this year I'm homeschooling 4 children from 7th grade to preschool. And so it can be a lot. That's a lot of ages, a big range of kiddos, so it can be a lot. So today I and all of the homeschool moms in the playlist are going to be sharing with you tips and tricks to do homeschool with multiple kids and not lose your mind, because it can be a lot if you're trying to do individual subjects for everyone. So that leads into my first tip: group subjects, group subjects, group subjects. Anything you can do together, that's what you want to do. You want to take advantage of that. Anything that is easy to kind of adjust up for one kid and adjust down for another kid, but do all of the same things at the same time, all of the same instruction, you want to take advantage of that. That makes homeschooling so much easier when you can put all of your kids together and do subjects all together. You're not having to spend individual time with each of them. You can condense everybody into one thing. So for us, we do group subjects for, usually history, but this year we're actually separated for history. But we do group subjects for writing projects. We do group subjects for, and then I just scale it up. My 7th grader does more in-depth things. My 3rd grader does less in-depth things. All of our read-alouds are family group subjects. We do art as a group. We do fairy tales. I have a whole video on that if you want to know what that is. As a group, we just, as much as we can do together, we do together. And then another another subset of that is unit studies. If you're doing unit studies, it's very easy to cover a lot of subjects in one area with both of your kids and adjust up and down for their ability as far as how much they write or what kind of questions they answer and things like that. So unit studies, group subjects are the way to go if you're going to be homeschooling multiple children. There's just no way you can spend individual time with each one of them unless that's all you're going to do all day long is school kids. So another point to that is teach your kids to learn independently. So really in those younger years, focus on giving them the skills to do things on their own. And that will help, because then you can have, while you're working with one child on things that they do need help with, you can have your other child working on things that they don't need help with, things that they can do independently, that maybe you just go back and check their answers, or you just have a follow-up with them at the end. But teaching your kids to work independently as soon as possible, as young as possible, is really going to help free up your time to work with, work on the subjects that they really do need help with. Having a daily routine is so important. So you want to make sure, it doesn't have to, in my opinion, do not schedule it out from 9 to 9:30 we do morning time, from 9:30 to 10 we do math. Don't schedule it out like that. In my experience, that has never worked, and all it does is create stress on you for feeling like you're not getting things done. But having a daily routine is a really good idea. When kids know what is expected of them, what is going to happen next, it makes things a lot easier. So, if your morning routine is to get up and have breakfast, and then, during breakfast you start your read alouds, and then you move after that, they know that they're going to move into doing you know, their independent subjects, or they're going to move into doing their unit study. If they have an idea of what's coming next, it's going to make your life a lot easier. In our household, our routine, our daily routine is that we get up, they have some independent time, they can work on whatever they want to work on, play, and then we have normally lunch around like 11 or 11:30, and then we will start homeschool for my older two after that. I'm doing my homeschool for my preschoolers right before lunch now, and then we have lunch, and then my younger kiddos know that the afternoons are for homeschooling, and the sooner they get done with their assignments, the sooner they have free time. And it just works in our household to know, you know, it's like not a very strict schedule at all, but it's very, you know, it's expected. They know once they have lunch, it's going to be time for homeschool. So just having that daily routine, that daily structure will help quite a bit. Being organized is going to help you a ton. And it doesn't, when I say this, you don't have to be like super organized. You don't have to, but having your stuff in the same spot and know where it goes, and it gets put away every day at the end of the day, so that the next day you know where it is, so you can pull it right out. That's going to save you so much time and so much headache, you know, like if the kids know when it's time for school, I go and I get this box, or I go and get this tub, and it's time, has all the things that I need in it for me to start my school. That's going to help so much, because they can literally just go get it and get started, being, you know, part of that being independent thing. And so having some organization to your space, to your routine, is going to help a lot. And then being organized in the sense of like, you do need to take a few minutes at the, you know, I typically do it on Sundays or Mondays, where I will sit down and just kind of like sketch out kind of a general idea of things that we want to get accomplished that week. And that really helps us to stay on task. I'm not fumbling through things. Like if I know a worksheet needs to be printed, I've already printed it. I'm not fumbling around trying to print it and getting, you know, my kiddos off task while I'm doing all that. So just trying to be a little bit organized is going to go a long way. So organization, you don't have to be like perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but knowing where your things are and knowing what you're going to be doing will just make it so much easier. Okay, another tip is factor in playtime. And so what I mean about this is you want your kids to be playing. You want them to be learning through play, because it's the best way for them to learn when they're young. But if you're factoring in that, you know, my child 2 and 3 are going to be playing over here while I am working with child 1 on whatever assignment, knowing that the playtime is going to be beneficial for them, and you are going to be able to have one-on-one time with this child who needs it, is another great way to homeschool multiple children at the same time, because you're giving them an opportunity to learn creatively, you know, and do those things, and you're actually like making sure that gets accomplished, and you're freeing up yourself to be working with somebody else. So while one good way to do it is to have your, you know, one child work on independent work while you're working on work with a child that needs help, and then swapping, another good way to do it is to have children playing while you're working with one child and then swap them out. It gives their mind like a mental break, you know, kind of like recess in public school. It gives their mind a little bit of a mental break, but they're still learning, you know, through building things and all those kinds of things. So factoring in playtime, and that can be just as simple as like having a couple of toys that they don't get to play with all the time, and then you bring those toys out for them to play with during that assigned time, and that will really just like give them something to look forward to, keep them engaged, and give you time to work on things that you need to work on. So that is another tip. And then I am going to talk about like newborns and toddlers, because those are the ones that everybody is like, oh my gosh, you know, how am I going to homeschool kids? Well, I've got a newborn, or well, I've got a toddler. In my opinion, it's actually not that difficult to homeschool when you have a newborn, because they basically just sleep and eat. So when I had newborns, we always did homeschool once the baby went down for a nap. And so as soon as the baby went down for a nap, we would do as much as we could get done. The baby would always want to feed when they woke up, so I would feed while they were, you know, still working on their homeschool. And then as if the baby needed my attention at that point, then we would take a break and come back on the next baby's nap time. And so that just really was very helpful. Just doing it when the baby was sleeping or eating is very helpful. It kind of messes up that daily routine that I suggested that you had sometimes, but if the kids know that the baby's going down for nap time, that means I'm going to be doing work. If that's like your set routine, that is, you know, that will still work. And then for toddlers, it's all about keeping them busy. So my favorite way of keeping them busy is like busy bins or busy bags, you know, having those on hand, pre-made, ready to go, where I can give them something special that they don't get to do all the time. It's not just go play in the playroom with the toys that you play with all the time. Here's something special that you don't normally get so that you are occupied with this. It is exciting for you. Well, so I can go and get some things done. So that's my favorite thing to do. Obviously that takes planning and that takes being organized. Another thing you can do that toddlers really love is, like, if you have a printable or if you have a workbook that your older kiddos are working on, having another copy, or like if it's a printable, another copy, or if it's a workbook, getting like those workbooks, those little cheap workbooks from the dollar store or the dollar bin at Target, or you know, something that wasn't very expensive but looks similar to what the bigger kids are doing, that can really help your toddler, like they feel included and they feel like they're doing something like their older siblings, and that can keep them occupied and entertained while you're trying to teach the lesson. And so that is another really good thing that you can do with toddlers, toddlers and preschoolers, that works for preschoolers too, that will keep them, you know, engaged and not trying to vie for your attention quite so much when you're trying to work with your other kiddos. So another tip I have for you is think outside of the box as far as time of day that you're doing your learning. Like, you don't have to get up, have breakfast, and start homeschool. We are not those people. We get up, we enjoy some downtime, then we have lunch and we do our homeschool. We now do our math when Dad gets home, because my oldest wants Dad to help her with math, and so he'll work with her on math and I'll work with my third grader on math once he gets home, while dinner's in the oven or while whatever's happening, and we do that now when Dad gets home. There have been tons of times where it's 8 o'clock at night and my kids want to do homeschool at that time, and I'm all for it, because, you know, if they're wanting to do it, that is a good time to do it. It doesn't matter when it is. Another thing you can do is homeschool on the weekends when your partner is home, to take the little ones and, you know, play with them in the yard while you can do something with your older kiddos. And then, so just thinking outside of the box in terms of when you actually do homeschool can really make be a game changer as to making your life easier. And last but not least, probably the most important, is be flexible. Just know that things aren't always going to go according to plan, and you might have to adjust the way something is being done. Something might sound so good in your head, and when you're laying it out, it might look so great, and then once you start trying it, it really just doesn't work, and you need to just be ready to say, this doesn't work, let's try something else, because that is the only way that you're going to find what works for you. So being flexible, being able to adjust, and just being, accepting that having multiple children and having multiple, human beings with multiple personalities and multiple needs are just going, things are going to change. So you just need to be flexible and go with the change and change things up every once in a while. And, I've had things that will work so great one year and then the next year it is a complete disaster. So you just never know. And so you just need to be willing to adjust and be flexible and change things up when you need to change them up. So those are the tips and tricks that I have for you for homeschooling multiple children. Remember, I'm not the only one sharing today. There's a whole playlist linked down below, and I'll link it here for you guys, of a bunch of moms who are sharing their tips and tricks of homeschooling multiple kiddos at the same time. So I hope you guys have found any of this useful or helpful. I'd love to hear if you have any tips. If you would share those down in the comments, I would love to chat about them. While you're down there, I hope you will subscribe to this channel, ring that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you want to see more of our day-to-day life, head on over to Instagram at Homeschool-ology and check us out over there. Thank you to all the moms who are participating in this collaboration. I really appreciate you guys chiming in and sharing your knowledge as well. And I hope all of you will come back and chat with me again real soon. Talk to you later. Bye. I'd love to hear if you have any